Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. It's Thursday, March 20th, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. It could be lights out for the Department of Education. The Trump administration's expected move today to curtail what it believes is a department bloated with bureaucracy, and what defenders of the agency are saying. Also targeting Tesla owners, the website that outed drivers of Elon Musk's famous vehicles, a form of protest of Musk's cuts at the Department of Government Efficiency, or an attempt to harass and intimidate average Americans. This morning, the controversy and the fallout.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
Today, President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order that would begin the process of closing the Federal Department of Education. The president, however, does not have the power to shut down the agency by himself. Straight Arrow News reporter Kara Rucker breaks down what he can do to make it happen and who's against the move.
The White House says the order would direct Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take steps toward dismantling the agency and transferring its essential programs to other government departments. Eliminating the Education Department requires an act of Congress. While the administration cannot unilaterally abolish the department, it can reduce its staff and cut programs it finds inefficient. Secretary McMahon has already taken steps in that direction, including a workforce reduction, and several DOJ staff are also working with the agency to reduce costs. Teachers' unions are against the idea, arguing that closing the department could jeopardize federal education funding, pointing to some grant programs directly benefiting low-income students and those with disabilities. In a statement earlier this month, the American Federation of Teachers Union said the Department of Education and the laws it is supposed to execute has one major purpose: to level the playing field and fill opportunity gaps to help every child in America succeed. Trying to abolish it, which by the way only Congress can do, sends a message that the president doesn't care about opportunity for all kids. Trump, who has long criticized the department, argues that education policy should be decided locally rather than at the federal level. Supporters of the move say it will give states more control over school systems, allowing for greater flexibility and parental involvement. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie introduced a bill in January to nix the department, saying unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. should not be in charge of our children's intellectual and moral development. States and local communities are best positioned to shape curricula that meet the needs of their students. Schools should be accountable. These headlines point to an education system in decline. Students aren't recovering from COVID. Test scores are getting worse. U.S. students posted dire math declines on an international test. American kids are getting even worse at reading. The solution? It's a politically polarizing issue. According to a poll out this month by NPR, PBS News, and Marist, 65% of Republicans agree to get rid of the Education Department, while 87% of Democrats oppose. Overall, 63% of respondents were against the idea. While Trump is expected to take the first step in that process on Thursday, Congress would have the ultimate decision to nix it completely. That would require 60 votes to break a filibuster in the Senate. Republicans hold 53 seats.
That was our Kara Rucker reporting. Critics of the plan are voicing their opposition. Minnesota Democrat Senator Tina Smith tagged President Trump in a post on X saying, "You can't shut down the Department of Education, and you know it. Fox News knows it, so stop." She also vowed to fight the president's, quote, illegal behavior until the cows come home. The president of the National Education Association, one of the nation's largest teachers unions, released a statement saying, quote, if successful, Trump's continued actions will hurt all students by sending class sizes soaring, cutting job training programs, making higher education more expensive and out of reach for middle-class families, taking away special education services for students with disabilities, and gutting student civil rights protections. Last week, nearly 24 Democratic attorneys general filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration seeking to halt the effort to lay off half of the Department of Education's workforce. Meantime, in a statement, a White House spokesperson said the executive order, quote, will empower parents, states, and communities to take control and improve outcomes for all students. Now to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. The Israeli military says it intercepted a missile launched from Yemen early this morning as hostilities with the Houthi rebels intensifies, amid President Trump's threats to punish Iran over its apparent support for the military group. In a statement, the IDF said a missile launched from Yemen was intercepted before crossing into Israeli territory. Sirens were sounded in accordance with protocol. Israel's ambulance service said no serious injuries were reported. A Houthi spokesperson confirmed the militant group was behind a missile strike targeting Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. Earlier this week, the Houthis vowed to escalate strikes in a show of support for the terror group Hamas. Meantime, Israeli strikes killed at least 58 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip overnight. That's according to hospitals there. Israel resumed heavy strikes across Gaza on Tuesday, effectively ending the ceasefire with Hamas. Israel claims Hamas is refusing to release the remaining hostages, 59 in total, with 24 still believed to be alive. Since then, Israeli attacks have left nearly 500 Gaza residents dead, according to a spokesperson for Gaza's civil defense team. Elsewhere, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told President Trump on a call Wednesday that his country is ready to implement a limited ceasefire in the war with Russia, Russian authorities reported a massive Ukrainian drone strike attack on the Engels Air Base in Russia. Engels is a major bomb operations base. Russia's defense ministry claims to have downed 54 drones over the area. Ukrainian authorities, meanwhile, reported a Russian bombardment of the central city of Kropyvnytsky, with more than 30 explosions reported. The regional governor also said Russia launched a massive attack on the eastern city of Kupiansk, close to the front lines. Authorities say at least one person was killed and another wounded after the Russians dropped at least 20 bombs on the city in a matter of hours. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 171 drones in the country overnight. The Air Force claims it shot down 75 of them, and 63 were lost in flight without causing damage. This morning, a website getting lots of publicity appears to have been taken down after critics voiced concerns about people's privacy, their safety, and the possibility that they might get attacked. The website, called DogeQuest, targeted Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency and its employees, as well as Tesla charging stations and individual Tesla owners. Straight Arrow News reporter Lauren Taylor has details on how the controversial website worked and the Trump administration's response.
Elon Musk's ties to the Trump administration have led to an apparent act of intimidation online, as Tesla owners now face an ultimatum: sell your car or find yourself on a blacklist. A website called DogeQuest posted the alleged personal information of Tesla owners across the United States with an interactive map, including an image of a Molotov cocktail as the cursor. DogeQuest claims to, quote, empower creative expressions of protest through exposing the names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of Tesla owners, saying it will only remove the data if they can provide proof they've sold their Teslas. The map also includes Tesla dealership addresses, locations of Tesla superchargers, and the personal information of employees from Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. 404 Media was the first to report on DogeQuest, verifying at least some of the information posted is legitimate. One person listed in the site's data contacted 404 Media, confirming that they are a Tesla owner, saying they're worried about potential threats to their family. The doxing effort comes as Tesla car owners, dealerships, and charging stations have been targeted nationwide by protesters and vandals because of Musk's involvement with Doge and its effort to cut wasteful spending and fraud within the federal government. Attorney General Pam Bondi said last week those taking part in the vandalism of Tesla cars, charging stations, and dealerships could face up to 20 years in prison.
So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Musk posted to X Tuesday after finding out about Doge Quest, calling it extreme domestic terrorism.
That was our Lauren Taylor reporting. While doxing itself is not explicitly illegal under U.S. federal law, it can violate some laws related to harassment, stalking, threats, and invasion of privacy. The Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates right where they are. The Fed on Wednesday held the benchmark rate between 4.25% and 4.5%. However, the Committee of Decision Makers sees 2 future rate cuts ahead in 2025, both by 1/4 point. Yesterday's move to keep interest rates the same came at a time when President Trump has implemented tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, with more on the horizon in early April. The tariff wars have sparked economic uncertainty, with the committee anticipating they might push prices up on certain goods. Meantime, inflation is still near 3%, which is slightly higher than the Fed's preferred number of 2%. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said, quote, "If the economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably toward 2%, we can maintain policy restraint for longer," end quote. The markets reacted positively to the news. The Dow was up by 383 points on Wednesday and the S&P 500 by 60 points. And this morning, stock futures are up. Finally this morning, Thursday is the United Nations International Day of Happiness. And to mark the occasion, we're getting an idea of where to find the happiest places on Earth. Spoiler alert, they don't include Disney World, so there's an upset for starters. The 13th annual World Happiness Report shows Finland is the happiest nation in the world for the 8th year in a row, with Denmark and Iceland next on the list. The United States, however, earned its lowest ranking yet, landing at number 24 on the list. According to the report, in the United States and some parts of Europe, declining happiness and social trust have contributed significantly to the rise of political polarization. The World Happiness Report ranks countries according to self-assessed life evaluations after asking respondents to think of a ladder with the best possible life for them being a 10 and the worst being a 0, then rate their current lives on that scale. Additionally, it considers 6 variables, including GDP per capita, social support, healthy life expectancy, freedom, generosity, and freedom of corruption. Let's see, we had a blizzard with about 10 inches of snow yesterday here in Omaha and 70-mile-an-hour winds. Our garage was on the fritz, so was our television, and the power went out a few times. You know what I say? Send me to Finland. Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.